there is just a lot of power in discomfort too, just if you're not challenged mentally and physically, it will have consequences like at the biochemical level too.
Are you curious about discovering ways of making your life better? Then welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Nickman, and this is The Exploding Human. Listen in while I talk with all kinds of people in the fields of personal growth, health and healing, alternative therapies, psychology, spirituality, environment, and the future. I'm looking for those answers that make life better for everyone. You'll meet cutting-edge practitioners, doctors, artists, filmmakers, business people, and those who have overcome challenges. The brave, the curious, anyone who's out there helping us humans to explore, expand, and explode. Hey, welcome to The Exploding Human. My name is Bob Nickman. My guest today is Melissa Cano. She is a biochemist and a molecular biologist. Over the last 15 years, she has focused on developing innovative and sustainable bioproducts. She is now the Director of Science at Longevity Labs, which translates cutting-edge science into practical solutions for health and longevity. Today, we're going to be talking about longevity, health span, fasting, the benefits of something called spermidine, and both the microscopic universe and the expansive universe, and the idea of chasing awe. So here she is. This is Melissa Cano. Melissa, it's so great to meet you. Boy, did we have fun just talking before we recorded. Folks, you're not going to get to hear any of it.
It's what it is. Some conversations are better left into the void.
Now that we're back from the void, we were talking about one thing, and let's start with it because we didn't know what we were going to talk about. But we were talking about longevity, that word. But then I was talking about health span as opposed to lifespan. It's not about the number. It's about how, well, it depends who you are, I suppose. To me, it's about, how long can I live healthy? Because do I want to live like not feeling good for, many years? I don't think I do.
No, you're right. So, those are the two components of longevity. It's going to be lifespan and health span. So lifespan is the amount of years you're going to be living, basically, until you die. Health span is the amount of healthy years. And when I say that, I'm not talking about having a cold or anything, but the amount of years without major pathologies like cardiovascular disease or cancer, metabolic disease that can impair your quality of life. So while we've been having an increase in lifespan in human societies in the last, it's been happening for many centuries now, but the last 200 years, really 300 years, the lifespan has increased a lot. However, the health span hasn't increased as much. So we live longer, that's a fact, but we become riddled with disease not that late in life, that a lot of people live a long time with very serious diseases. So I think the focus beyond increasing the amount of years you live should be the amount of years you're going to be healthy. And I'm sure if you ask most people around you, that's what they really want at the end, right? It's like you said, it's not the amount of years, it's how good they're going to be. So
yeah. And what I've sort of discovered doing this show is that there's some things that don't actually have to happen. The lifestyle diseases that don't really have to happen. And then there's things that are, sort of beyond our abilities to do anything about. And that's, just the way it is. But when I think about, that question of how do I actually want to live day to day, and how do I want to feel day to day, and what are the responsibilities that I have to take on in order to do that? Because like you were saying about, I think it was your aunt or something, was like her idea of that she's sort of like things are happening to her. There's not,
right.
Whereas your grandfather was somebody who, embraced running or whatever. Was it? I think it was running. You said.
He was a walker.
Until
he was 90 years old, he would walk sometimes 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers a day. So almost like, I don't know, 6-7 miles a day. So for a 90-year-old, that's a lot. And it's been, like you said, it's a mindset at the end of the day. What you experience in your body is also what's happening in your mind. So someone that like wants to keep living, literally, that appreciate just having a little bit of effort and having a little bit of discomfort on the moment. I mean, those are the people that get the most benefits out of investing, in their health. Whereas there's a lot of people, and I have some in my family, so I'm not like just throwing this out there or blaming people for being the way they are, because it's really hard to fight against this type of mindset when that's all you've ever known around you. You don't have people showing you an example of being basically a fighter, just going out there and doing things and making things happen. It's hard. And I think when you start getting into your 70s, late 70s, and you have this mindset of being very passive and not moving, I mean, the body is going to show you the difference, like versus someone that is moving. Like as the machine is literally going to start rusting, everything is going to start hurting faster. So I really believe that if anything, before like trying to work out a certain amount of days in a week or taking this supplement, you really should start finding a way to want to move, like to work on your mindset. Okay, what are the things that drive me? What are the things that can I find something that make me want to do it again the next day and again the next day and again the next day? Whether it's a physical activity or a mental one, they're both very important to keep this life going. That's for me, that's the basis of a health span. It's like having something that drives you.
There's an interesting sort of tendency for people to want to have comfort, and which I get that, because it's nice to be comfortable, but what does that actually mean, and what does stress and resistance actually do for you? Because it actually helps quite a bit. I mean, if you're
for sure,
if you don't have resistance with your muscles, they're going to atrophy and they're going to get weak. It's like, well, I don't want to lift that. I don't want to do that. It's like, well, I don't either, but I kind of do, because there's a benefit. That's that sort of duality part of living that can be kind of confusing. I don't want to get up and take a walk. I'm going to sit here and have popcorn and watch a movie. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing that exclusively, then your body's going to just not work the way it was. I guess it wasn't intended to work that way, or it would work if you did that.
I mean, I think that's one of the biggest lessons in life that, I mean, I'm still learning, but I got to experience and appreciate, is that there is freedom in discipline and being consistent. It's way more than in being completely without a structure. Like, there's more freedom in being organized, in being even serious about your health and the things that drive you. And there is just a lot of power in discomfort too, just if you're not challenged mentally and physically, it will have consequences, like at the biochemical level too, like we're talking about this before we started recording, but at the biochemistry of it all is also the power lies in the resistance. You take a cell, for example, if you give it all the nutrients it needs all the time, it's only ever going to start multiplying, dividing. That's what life does, right? Once you start hitting a point where this cell doesn't have what it needs, start lacking the proper amino acids or sugar, and so it can't divide anymore, then the cell is going to do something very important in this moment. It's going to start saying, okay, I don't have what I need. I'm literally in a restriction mode. What can I do to survive? So it's going to start cleaning its inside, dismantling everything that is badly made, reuse the basic elements to start remaking components anew inside. And that's a process that is very important for cellular health. It's called autophagy, which is the cell cleaning its own inside, like a spring cleaning or cleaning up your garage, removing the junk. This type of processes in a cell can only happen when the cell is facing some stress. And so there is like this very important duality, like you say, of having the things enough abundance to grow and thrive, but you also need to be faced with like resistance, you know, and a little bit of a challenge for you to thrive, for the cells to actually thrive. It cannot have all the time all the nutrients it needs, you know. So it's kind of a parallel also in human lives, like same way when, and I'm talking about this analogy because I'm right in here right now. I have 2 little kids, and I can see also this same type of situation where if you give the kid what they want all the time, I mean, you could, especially nowadays, like commodities are so easily to get and get rid of. You could buy them a little toy every day if you want it, but then you never create the desire, like the anticipation, the dream, the waiting, you know, all those things that really makes life worth living and those moments worth living. So there is really a very, I think, powerful balance, whether it's on the biochemical side, at the cellular level, on the body side, in the mental side, where you need to have like a period of lax sometime, where you're a little bit of famine, a little bit of abundance, and like that's the way I think human life is well placed to thrive. Like you need to appreciate both sides.
I was just thinking about 2 different things when you were, I was paying attention.
Ranting.
I was paying attention. I wasn't just getting ready to talk. Well, when you talk about autophagy, which is something I've just only recently started to find out about, and my wife's gotten more interested than me, but like doing a water fast and creating that state in the body. And it made total sense the way you just described it. The cells get rid of the things they don't need and strengthen the things that work. And so, and you're also giving a rest to the rest of your body. Absolutely. In a sense, it's not digesting. Mm-hmm. I want to do that, except I don't like being hungry.
I don't like it either. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't do the fasting. The maximum I can do, and I think you can probably do that, is intermittent fasting. So you just don't eat for an extended period of time. If you can push it to 16 hours, great. Now, like, I'm not someone that do water fast for 2-3 days. First, like, I do need my energy, especially now with 2 little kids. I was breastfeeding not long ago. So fasting, a strict fasting is also not for everyone. Yeah. Like, I think
I might be one of those people.
Well, you might very well be. You know, some people also that are already very lean, it might not be a great thing, because also for muscle loss, for just like energy levels, for women, especially in the older age, hormonal imbalances, it can be very tricky to do a strict fasting. Now, we do know that there is a lot of benefits in an actual extended caloric restriction. I mean, like, it's been done for generations in humans. It's the benefits of it are even carried in some tradition, in religious traditions, to not eat for a certain period of time, because it helps the body recover. It even gives you some clarity of mind, so we can help like in those spiritual experiences and so on. But again, it's not for everyone. I don't do it. What I try to do is give my guts, my GI tract, a little bit of rest for 16 hours, because I do believe that can be done. And having constant food in the gut is also not the best thing to do. So without being too extreme, you can still do a short fasting. Now, when you fast, what happens is your cells are sensing there is no nutrient upcoming. So they have receptors all outside of your cells. So you're made of billions of cells or trillions of cells. And when they see that no nutrients is coming up in the blood flow because they're irrigated all the time, they start saying, okay, we don't have enough nutrient to either make new DNA, divide, etc. So let's try to clean up the inside. And they already, by doing this, they activate autophagy. And so the way they do it, and there was a study that came out last year in Nature Cell Biology that showed how the mechanism of action is that your body, when there is a caloric restriction, it increases the level of this molecule called spermidine. And the increase of this spermidine in your cell is what triggers the autophagy process. And so the way I go back to this is also because it's kind of my field, like talking about this longevity supplement, especially spermidine. I mean, I've read a lot about it. The way you could also help trigger sort of a fasting reaction without fasting is by eating more of some of the food that are very rich in spermidine, or even take a supplement. But foods that include spermidine are broccoli, other type of cruciferous, legumes, nuts. If you were to eat a bit more of those food, you could mimic a sort of a fasting state. Again, it's not exactly the same. Obviously, there's still more nutrient than with a serious fasting, but you could help take this autophagy, so this cleaning process, internal cellular cleaning process, up a notch just by eating more of those foods that are rich in spermidine. Now, if you were to look at the list, the full exhaustive list of the foods that have the most spermidine, you would find them very similar to the food that they eat in those so-called blue zones or Mediterranean zones, where they're very rich in plants, very rich in legumes, in nuts, cruciferous, and are associated with an extended lifespan, but also an extended health span. So people that have a higher dietary intake of those type of foods and foods rich in spermidine, they, in average, live 5 to 6 years longer than people that don't have a lot of spermidine in diet, and they also have a lower mortality of all causes, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, metabolic disease, neurodegenerative diseases too. So there are things you can do if you're not into fasting to try to mimic it. You will never get the full effect, obviously. Also, the cleaning up of the guts is not going to be the same, but you could still activate your autophagy a bit more. But again, I mean, at the end of the day, we all know what we should be eating more of and less of.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you need to be told again and again to appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's you know, I don't want to do things out of fear. I just don't want to I don't want to live that way where I'm like, oh, you know, it's going to be terrible if I don't do this. I don't.
No,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean,
It's all about balance, right? I mean, it's again, it's all about just you can appreciate. I mean, and I am not someone that's like very strict about everything. I try on the daily to be healthy, but I also have my piece of chocolate almost every day. And, you know, I just have my ice cream once a week. And like, this is life, right? Also, like, I'm not going to get a medal at the end for being the healthiest. So,
yeah, I don't want a medal either. When I think about you growing up in France, and I just picture somebody walking down the street with a big loaf of bread and a big thing of cheese.
100%. Oh, yes. And wine, you know, like
Yeah.
I got my wine tasting with my dear grandfather that used to have always, and he lived until 92, very healthy, and almost until the end. So he's like my prime example of balance, because this man never had a meal, whether it's lunch or dinner, without a couple of glasses of wine. So, but he was also in moderation. Like he was never in too much excess, but he always had his 2 glasses of wine and used to make me try even when I was 7 or 8, you know, with a bit of water, and like got to appreciate the good things in life very early. So,
Yeah, I always like to say I'm on the side of what works, you know, and if it's working, why even put a label on it? It's just working. So,
yeah. I mean, and just like look where the people live the healthiest and the longest, and those people are not crazy about strength training or
Right.
using protein powder or whatever supplement left or right. They just eat all food. They walk a lot. They even have wine, and they live at a slow pace, at a slower pace than what a lot of us nowadays
Yeah,
experience.
that's
That's
a
also
whole other
important.
thing. It's just how time is different depending on what your mindset is and where you're living and how you're
100%.
doing your day. It
Yeah.
moves at, like when you're really sick, time moves at a really slow, strange pace. And when you're stressed out, it's like frenetic, and you can't
Yeah.
really even enjoy the moments because there's just too much. So
Yeah.
whatever that is for everyone has a different sort of level of what works for them. If it's too slow for me, I don't like that either.
No, no,
And
of
if it's
course. Yeah.
fast, I
I mean,
can't.
it can create anxiety, right? Also to just feel stuck in like a never-ending day, especially people in the older age, if they start being alone. But that's where community is important. When you start being older and don't have a professional activity anymore, and I think about like also people I know personally, and you don't have a community or activities to keep you going, or like even like things that drive you, like
Yeah.
that's where time can really hurt you. It can seem like it's gonna be forever. And so I mean, I've heard this so many times from very old people. It's like basically waiting to die.
Ugh.
That's so sad. Like that to me, in a way, I've appreciated hearing this enough that I'm like, okay, if I have one main goal in life, it's not to think like this by the time I get to their age. Like, let me try to find all the things that will never even make me feel like this for a second.
Yeah, and that is, a tried and true thing, that community is a big part of people's one, longevity, and two, their
Uh-huh.
happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I wanted to
Absolutely.
go back to this thing when you were talking about your kids. And I just heard this woman talking today on some social media thing, and she was talking about a study that somebody did for it was quite a extensive study. And the thing that makes the thing that they discovered was the thing that makes children successful later in life. It's not their intelligence. It's not, you know, and it's not. Well, what do you think it is? I'm not going to go into all of what it's not.
Hmm.
What do you
I
think it
would
is?
say I would say it's their environment, like their friends, where they live, like their direct. I wouldn't even think like it's the parents directly. I feel like it's
Yeah,
gonna be
and
the community they're around.
what is the thing that the parent you're getting? Yeah, this has surprised me. It didn't once I heard it. What do you think the thing is the parents can do for those kids that make them successful later in life? I'll just say it, because why make you guess? Chores,
Ah,
doing chores.
I
What
like
that
that.
teaches kids, and you if you give a kid a chore, sometimes
Mm,
I don't want to pick
right.
up my toys, I don't want to make my bed, I don't want to clean up after the dog, I
Yeah.
don't want to sweep the floor. Well, if that becomes according to this study, if that becomes a part of the lifestyle in a home, that kids you get self-esteem, but you also learn how to do
Right.
things, and you're not put off by um, having to,
Challenges. Yeah.
yeah, which I thought
Yeah.
was a great. I mean, I made we made our kids do a certain amount of chores. I wish I would have made them do more now. I mean, they're all doing very well, so I have to say something took, but
No, that's very powerful. I mean, my kids are still very small. The oldest is 3 years old, and it's kind of an investment because it would be so much easier for me to clean all his toys at night. It would take me 5 minutes, but
yeah,
I try to have him do it
yeah,
until he's put the last toy, and it probably takes 20 minutes. And 20 minutes of me like saying over and over again, there's still this piece here, you need to go get it. And how about this one? Like, you're almost done, you can do it. And I mean, it's exhausting. Sometimes I'm like, I should just do it. But I try to give energy into this moment because, like I said, it's very important to
yeah,
make them appreciate, like, Just, and also, like you said, there is self-esteem and pride at the end. Like, oh, I did it. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. And also what you were talking about is to complete it in a way where you don't leave loose ends, like,
Yes, that's a
but I
very
will get
good
it
point. Yeah.
tomorrow, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of like that myself. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll just get it tomorrow.
I mean, that's a big disease, if I can call it like this too. And I've suffered from this too, of not getting things to completion, to full execution. And I have to credit my husband with this, who is the most amazing executioner there is. Like, he loves taking things to the finish line all the time, whereas I like to be more of a butterfly sometimes. But like, I've had more appreciation and more energy in getting things fully completed. Especially now that I have little kids, like, I can't leave stuff in suspension for too long. So I try to get like items checked out of my list as much as I can. I mean, it can also get too extreme sometimes, where like you can also never stop, right? Like, because we all have to-do lists that are probably infinite. But like, it's good to clear out some things out of the checklist. That's, I think, for mental health and just drive and motivation and self-esteem is very important
Yeah. And then
to
on the
execute.
on the other side of that is just absolute freedom of play, which kids are great at. I mean, they go off into worlds that that are just so wonderful to watch and to be a part of it. So I love that just as much. Just
Yeah.
to watch how their minds work. And my kids are grown now, but when they were little, I used to just love to listen to what they would talk about and how they
Yeah.
would talk about it, and the things they would imagine. That is just one of the greatest things ever, to see
Yeah.
a mind that hasn't been super controlled by society and school and all these.
It's kind of like a fascinating thing. It's like, when do we walk out of thinking like this? Like, is it a sudden one day, like you're not a kid anymore, and then someone make you realize, oh, stop dreaming? Like, I've always wondered, like, does it happen gradually that you lose this type of complete, like, free
Yeah.
thinking and just free
And why do
dreaming?
some people get really have that stuff shut down so heavily that they become, really rigid and unfun
Yeah.
people, and then other people,
Yeah.
you can't,
Yeah. No, you keep a little bit.
and I'll use this word, you can't tame them. It's not really the right word, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see what you mean. Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
was
I think,
in,
I mean,
when I
that's
was,
something we should all be keeping for sure. I
yeah,
mean,
I had a moment that I use this as an example in what I think where adults really kind of mess kids up. I was in an art class in elementary school. I think I was third or fourth grade, and some kid drew some trees, and they made the trees, at the top of the trees they were squared off, like flat, like right across, like you know um, horizontally cut off at the top.
mhm.
And the teacher, who was this kind of not very nice old lady, got mad at this kid. That's not what a tree looks like. And marched the kid over to the window and humiliated the kid. Look at those, show me a tree out there that looks like the one you drew. And the kid was embarrassed, and it was an awful feeling. The whole room was kind of like, everybody liked the kid, and and now you get back there and draw a tree the way it really looks, right? So the next week that we had this art class, some kid brought in pictures of trees that were cut off the way this kid had drawn them. I think they were, I think they were from France, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, somebody had some arborist had done these trees, or an
Yeah,
artist.
that's actually very common. I was gonna say, in France, for people
Okay,
to
so
treat trees very
it's common.
square.
And the teacher, when they saw the trees, she got furious again. It was like, now you're humiliating the teacher, and and what was even worse was our class teacher sided with the art teacher
Oh wow.
because she had to. It was her colleague, or she felt she had to. And it was this really awkward thing. And I remember thinking, well, there's no right or wrong here. Why can't they both exist? Why can't this kid's imagination Why can't you do that? I mean, what's and it's art. That's the weird part about it. It wasn't like a math problem where there's a right or wrong answer. This was super
Yeah.
subjective kind of creativity. And that kid drew those things or painted them or whatever it was, and they were in it. They were enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
The
you've
amount of adults that, I mean, that's this teacher, I don't know the story, but they probably went through similar
oh yeah.
experience and
Hmm.
just like reproduce the same pattern. The amount of people that haven't made the effort or like the being proactive in trying to fix their own problems
Yeah.
before like interacting with little kids is mind-boggling. Like I even see it myself. I feel like I'm pretty balanced and pretty happy, etc. But there are still like reactions I have that I'm like, oh my god, like this is literally based of my own fear when I was a little kid or I was exposed to the situation, and that's me reacting that way. And I still surprise myself with some moments like this. But when I see like a lot of people out there that have kids or interact with kids, I'm like, oh, so everybody should be going through some sort of therapy before, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
Just make sure you've actually reflect for 5 minutes.
it's always better when happy people have kids than people
Yeah.
that are, traumatized or miserable. So now I'm going to flip back to this autophagy thing because I know you're a
Hmm.
biochemist. When you look at cells under a microscope, I'm sure you've done that millions of times.
Hmm.
How do they look different when a cell? I mean, what have you learned by looking at cells? That's actually what I was thinking about before I was talking to you. When you look at a cell, what does that show you or teach you about, the bigger picture?
Wow, that's a great question, actually. I've never been asked that. So I've been working like for 20 years with bacteria and other type of unicellular organisms. And I'm just always amazed how complex and how very little we still understand about the I mean, we know a lot about cells now. We have amazing microscopy, transmission electron microscopy that allows you to see all the little structure inside a cell. But what really is missing is like a real-time vision of all the biochemical reaction that happen in a cell, all the new molecules that are made, like a real-time vision of all the stuff happening. I mean, there are some people that try to make art videos of what's happening inside of a cell when it's alive. But I think what still fascinates me is that when you can see some cells, and you need to have good microscope, but there's like some light microscope, so light with a light microscopy where you can see a cell, especially if they're big enough, and you can see like I mean, the fact that it's alive and so small, especially because I've worked with unicellular organisms, so they're alive by themselves. They don't work in the context of a whole body like us. They're alive by themselves. They can replicate. They can do their own reaction. I'm just always amazed about like they're everywhere. Like you can just take I could take like a q-tip of anywhere, or even leave a petri dish open for a couple of seconds in my lab, close it, and some things will grow, and you could put them under the microscope, and it will be this whole universe that you can just glimpse of at all time. And the fact that we'll probably never really get a full appreciation of the complexity of the inside of a cell. We have a good idea and it's getting better, but there is still like a whole untouchable universe inside, like all these microscopic life, right? The fact that we humans are made up of all those cells, including bacteria cells. You like to talk about gut a lot. You know, we're made of a lot of bacteria also that participate, in the functioning in our whole organism as a whole. I mean, I will never stop being fascinated by that. I mean, there really is like this awe of the life that is just everywhere at all time, in us, ourselves, on us, the bacteria, or even inside us, in the air. It's just like it's everywhere. It's fascinating. Like And the fact that you can never really see it, right? You get a glimpse of it when you put one thing under the microscope and you realize, oh my God, this is happening at all time. It's just like, it's,
Yeah, I love to think about that kind of thing because when you're looking at something that small, how vast it is. Because it's
mm-hmm,
small, but it's like you say, it's very complicated and very mysterious. And then you sort of zoom out and you look at the entire universe, also very
right.
vast.
Mm-hmm.
And here's just a thought: is that small one, because it's so vast and what it is there something even smaller than that we can't even know? I think there is probably something. And
I
also
mean, I'm,
on the big side, on the universe side, is that a small thing compared to something else that's even bigger
yeah.
than that? And your mind
Mm-hmm.
can't really comprehend it. So, what it really comes down to me is some type of, I mean, it's an energy, but I see it as sort of a vibration. And what's the underpinning of that vibration? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's love. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if it just feels that way. Like there's a an understanding that the universe has of itself. That's the underpinning of it.
I mean, now we're entering the metaphysical
Yeah, let's go.
world, but it's and let's go. I mean, that I so I'm gonna align with you on this. The fact also that we are, and we don't really know whether other superior form of life, like, and I'm talking about multicellular organism on the planet. I don't know. I'm thinking about whales or whatever, have a really conscious. I mean, they definitely have feelings and sensations, and but I don't know that they have a consciousness of having a finite life in a universe that is like, we don't know that. Maybe like I would think not. As a scientist, with the amount of information I have, with my observation, I would think they don't have that. That's more like spiritual appreciation or vision of the world that we may have. This in itself, for me, is one of the most fascinating mystery, is the fact that, and I'm not the one saying this, other people have explained this better, that we are the universe experiencing itself, like that
Hmm.
we're able to reflect on the fact that we came out of this, we made of parts of it, and the fact that the basis of our drive, or the things that make us vibrate and even appreciate the thought of being a part of the universe, is love. And I agree with you on this, is that it seems like this should be the unifying link between the spirit and the body, or consciousness. I don't even know. Like, I'm not a consciousness expert, but like that would be my vision of it. Now, if I was to look under microscope at a cell, I don't know that the unifying force for these cells, or whatever smaller units of life, or like even a virus, or I don't know that the love vibration is what really carries their own existence. So I feel that's where I don't know. I'm probably not the better expert to reflect on
Yeah.
this. But I appreciate definitely that there is something deep about us and the consciousness that we have of our place in the universe, of all the things we don't know. Like, for example, if I was to compare us to a whale, like, I don't know that a whale has an appreciation of all the things they don't know, right? Like, I don't think they thrive to know more, to think about, yeah, like to conceptualize like the unknown. Like, we don't know, but my guess would be not, they don't. But
Doesn't
I don't
seem
know,
like it.
it doesn't seem like it. They're
But
still
then
under the
again, they
water.
don't they don't have to.
They probably don't
They
have it.
don't have a
That's a very good
need.
point. Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah.
No, sometimes I would look at my like my dog, and I'd watch my dog, and I'd go, God, that dog's so lucky, gets taken care of. It's content just to sort of go from one spot to another. it's loving. It's, you know, it can get angry when it needs to, and it's not encumbered with any stress
Right.
whatsoever. and it
Doesn't seem like it, but
and it seems like when something doesn't go well, they forget about it within, you know, minutes, or maybe faster. And sometimes I would like look at my dog and I'd get envious. Like, God, you don't have to struggle like I do. You know, there's no.
yeah.
I wouldn't trade, but you know,
Right.
but it's kind of an interesting thing. All these different life forms
Yeah,
that
but
are.
we go back to the balance and the duality here. Like we also get those moments of awe and and appreciation of like the complexity and the wealth of the universe. Also because we suffer a little bit from thinking like this, right? I mean, there is a lot of um, a lot of pain in having this consciousness too, right?
Yeah,
Just
right. It's
thinking about a finite life, thinking you're gonna die, thinking you may one day get um, unhealthy, you know, like
yeah.
this is also our curse. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, it's like, it seems like the other sort of, what do you want to call them, lower life forms than human, which is, I guess, everything in a sense, is they have physical suffering. We all have that,
Hmm.
but we have like this other kind that's, it's
The
anguish
spiritual one.
sometimes. Yeah,
I mean, I guess some animals definitely can suffer from mental. Like, I mean, there are some. I mean, you have. I've had dogs, and I don't know. Maybe we project, but I've like experienced from them like um, I don't know if we can call it love, but like a definitely an appreciation that they would be mentally distressed if I was to walk away for a long
oh yeah,
time. Or
sure,
so
yeah,
there is definitely that part too. Now, the part that I don't know, and my guess would be no, is like more like the spiritual, right? The one where you start thinking about your own nature, your own existence, where you're going, where when are you going, you know, like all those big questions.
I guess I wrote a joke while you were talking, when you were talking about,
You're not listening, you're just writing. I'm joking.
well, it's just the way my mind works. I am listening.
I'm joking.
I'm very much intrigued by this conversation. The when you were saying, we're talking about awe, I go, some things are awe and some things are awe. Fuck.
The awe is something that like I appreciate as I get older. Is like I feel like when you're in this state of awe, whether it's awe of someone or something in nature or a new concept you're learning or a new I don't know, like something that drives you. If you can stay in this or go back to this feeling often, I think like there is that's where the secret of part of the secret of being happy and making life worth it
You know,
is like chasing the awe for sure.
chasing the awe.
Chasing the awe.
Maybe that's the title of this
I made a
episode.
t-shirt. I'm just chasing the awe.
Chasing the awe. Well, now that we're nearing the end, we want to talk about how people maybe can get a hold of you, or if they want more information, and or if you want to talk about Longevity Labs where you're doing your work.
Sure.
Lay it out
I'm
on us. Lay it out
I
there.
mean I'm the worst because I'm like not really on social media or they
Yeah.
can find me on LinkedIn if they want
Okay.
to
All
talk
right.
to me directly, but they can find my email as well on the website. So, I mean, I work with Longevity Labs. They do uh, a supplement from wheat germ. So wheat germ is the higher source of spermidine, this molecule we were talking about before that you already ingest every day in your food. It's present in every living cell, therefore in all the foods. Some are going to have more than others. At the top of the foods that have the most spermidine is wheat germ. And so instead of having to eat too much of wheat germ, which no one does, let's be honest, or having a big dose of legume nuts, cruciferous, you could be taking an extract of wheat germ that is very rich, so it's a herbal supplement, and that helps you have like a basic level of spermidine to make sure this autophagy process that we talked about before is sustained at a healthy level. So make sure you have this constant cellular cleanup. And I mean, there is an infinite amount, not infinite, that's a bit of a stretch, but there's like thousands of scientific publications out there, and you just have to Google to start your rabbit hole here, where you can see how supplementing with spermidine can help with a lot of those age-related diseases, including cognitive decline, cardiovascular disease, just by mean of activating this cellular cleanup. So it's a very important thing to look into when you, especially when you start eating your early 50s, to make sure you watch what you eat more plant-based food. Take a supplement if you want to make sure you have the minimum amount. So you can find us if you're interested at spermidinelife.us. We can probably put my email address if people want to talk to me. I'm not really much on social media, but you can also find our account of the company, Spermidine Life US, on Instagram. And we try to actually, on the website also, my background, I'm a biochemist. So I'm in charge of like the science and the communication, education in the company. So I write almost every week a blog where I synthesize the scientific literature about a specific topic related to either longevity or spermidine and the benefits. And so people can find these resources either on our Instagram or on our website, spermidinelife.us as well. So,
okay.
Yeah.
How do we spell that word, spermidine?
Yeah, very good question, because some people sometimes like put an A. So it's SPERMIDINE. And like, just so to clear it out, spermidine is the name of this natural molecule. It's the scientific name. We didn't come up with it. It's just... the reason the name is spermidine is because the man that invented the microscope, Anthony von Leeuwenhoek, probably was left alone too long in a room with a microscope and might have looked at semen, sperm, under the microscope.
Oh, okay.
He observed some crystals inside, and many years later, it turned out that those crystals were made of this molecule called spermidine. So there is a spermidine in all the cells of your organism. There is a little bit more in the semen, in the sperm, and the reason is because it keeps those cells. I mean, if a body is going to put energy in keeping cells the youngest, and I put this in between quotes, obviously it's a bit of a stretch, but the healthiest and the youngest, it's going to put it in the reproductive cells, in the germline cells, because those are the cells that are going to carry the DNA, the genetic material, right? So there is a connection here between like spermidine being this longevity molecule. It really helps cells maintain a healthy profile, let's say. So that's where the word is coming from, spermidine.
All right. Well, look what I've learned today. All through the podcast, I've learned things.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was a fun conversation.
Yeah. And best of luck to you and all your endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciation for you folks listening to The Exploding Human. The website is theexplodinghuman.com. There's also a YouTube channel where you can listen. That is The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. Once again, I want to thank Melissa Cano for being on the show. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.